upbeat, heavy metal intro riff fades slightly to background. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving headfirst into the abyss to talk about one of the most influential, uncompromising, and downright terrifying bands in the history of heavy metal. A band that forged a sound so extreme, so aggressive, that it became a pillar of the thrash metal genre and inspired countless musicians for decades to come. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only ... Slayer. For nearly 40 years, Slayer was the definition of sonic warfare. They weren't just a band. They were an institution, a benchmark for speed, intensity, and a musical middle finger to the status quo. From their humble beginnings in Huntington Park, California, back in 1981, the lineup of Tom Araya, Jeff Hanneman, Kerry, King, and Dave Lombardo was a perfect storm of creative ferocity. They took the speed of punk, the technicality of the new wave of British heavy metal, and drenched it all in a darkness that was entirely their own. Their debut album, So No Mercy, released in 1983, was a raw and aggressive statement of intent. You can hear the hunger in those tracks, the desire to be faster and heavier than anyone else. But it was their third album, released in 1986, that would change everything. That album was Rain in Blood. Clocking in at just under 29 minutes, it's a relentless, non-stop assault on the senses. From the opening shriek of Angel of Death to the final chaotic feedback of Raining Blood, it's a masterpiece of thrash metal. It's an album that even today sounds as vital and vicious as it did upon its release. It didn't just raise the bar, it threw the bar into a volcano. What made Slayer so special? A huge part of it was the dual guitar attack of Jeff Hanneman and Kerry King. Their riffs were like serrated blades, sharp, fast, and unforgettable. King's solos were chaotic, whammy bear abusing explosions of noise, while Hanneman's were often more melodic yet equally unsettling. They were two sides of the same dark coin, creating a sound that was both intricate and punishing. You could always tell a Slayer riff within the first 2 seconds. That signature sound is a testament to their unique chemistry. And then you had the rhythm section. Dave Lombardo wasn't just a drummer. He was a human hurricane. His pioneering use of double bass drumming at breakneck speeds became a staple of the entire extreme metal genre. He didn't just keep the beat. He drove the songs forward with an incredible force and precision that still leaves drummers speechless. And at the front of it all was Tom Araya. His bass playing provided the solid, rumbling foundation, but it was his vocals that truly delivered the message. His delivery part shouted, part snarled was the perfect vehicle for their dark and often controversial lyrics. When Tom Araya screamed, "You believed every single word." Of course, you can't talk about Slayer without acknowledging their subject matter. They never shied away from the darkest corners of human history and the human psyche. This unflinching approach often courted controversy, but for the fans, it was part of the appeal. Slayer wasn't there to make you comfortable. They were there to hold up a mirror to the ugliest parts of reality, set it to a soundtrack of pure chaos, and force you to look. It was a form of catharsis, a way to confront the darkness in a controlled, musical environment. Their influence is simply immeasurable. Every thrash band, every death metal band, and even many bands outside of metal owe a debt to Slayer. They were a cornerstone of the big four of thrash metal, alongside Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax. But they always stood apart as the most extreme, the most unwavering in their vision. While other bands experimented and evolved their sound, Slayer, for the most part, stuck to their guns. They knew what they were, and they delivered it album after album with pure conviction. Albums like South of Heaven and Seasons in the Abyss showed a more refined, atmospheric side without sacrificing an ounce of heaviness, proving their songwriting depth. The tragic passing of Jeff Hanneman in 2013 was a devastating blow to the band and the entire metal community. He was a principal songwriter, the architect of many of their most iconic tracks. It was a loss that was deeply felt, and it marked the beginning of the end for the band. Though they released one final, powerful album, Repentless, and continued to tour, The machine was missing a vital component. In 2019, Slayer embarked on their final world tour, giving fans one last chance to witness the sheer power of their live show. A Slayer concert was more than just music. It was a communal experience of pure energy, the roar of the crowd chanting Slayer. Slayer is one of the most iconic sounds in all of live music. It was a fitting farewell, a victory lap for a band that never compromised, never sold out, and stayed true to their ferocious vision until the very end. So, why does Slayer continue to resonate so profoundly? Because they were authentic. In a world of trends and changing tastes, Slayer was a constant. They were a force of nature. They created a sound, a legacy, and an attitude that will echo through the halls of heavy metal forever. Their music is timeless because the feelings it evokes, aggression, rebellion, are a part of the human experience. Slayer just gave those feelings the most intense soundtrack imaginable. What's your favorite Slayer album or song? What's your best memory from a Slayer show? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read your stories. They may be gone, but their reign will never truly be over. Thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this dive into metal history, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, stay heavy.